I'm even taller than Celine. Okay, so we're gonna have a little fun here, a little feminist comedy. And the first thing I'm gonna read to you is actually it begins with something that happened to me. I've been deeply involved with scientists and neuroscientists in particular, and I was one of two women at a round table discussing sex and the brain. So the little episode I'm relating actually came from life, but it's in the voice of my rather caustic narrator, Mia. Only a couple of years ago, at a discussion group on sex and the brain, I was shocked when a colleague of Boris's alienated husband assured me that in the animal kingdom, or rather in the female side of the animal kingdom, in other words, in the whole animal queendom, only human women experience orgasm. When I expressed my amazement, Boris and 5 other male researchers at the table concurred with Dr. Bruder. We two-leggers could do it, but no other animals. In males, of course, prowess went all the way down the mammalian ladder. Male arousal has deep biological roots. In women, it's just a fluke, an accident. From a purely physiological point of view, this struck me as absurd. My primate sisters, who shared so much of my equipment, upstairs and downstairs, had no fun during sex? What did that mean? Among our 4-legged cousins, only the males experienced joy? While I argued my point, Boris glowered at me from across the table. I had been admitted as a special guest. A couple of books and several papers later, I discovered that the smug 6 were dead wrong, which meant, of course, that I was dead right. In 1971, the science is all true, by the way. In 1971, Frances Burton verified orgasm in 4 out of 5 of the female rhesus monkeys in her lab. Female stump-tailed macaque monkeys experience orgasms regularly, but most often with other females, not with males. And when they do come, the simian ladies cry out just as we do. Alan F. Dixon, the author of Primate Sexuality, Comparative Studies of Prosimians, Monkeys, Apes, and Human Beings, writes that they express their rapture in sounds reminiscent of Mrs. Claus. Ho, ho, ho. I used these 3 verbal ejaculations when I confronted the old man with my evidence. Ho, 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 I said, slapping down 2 tomes and 6 articles, all marked with Post-its. You may ask, did the no-fun theory for girl apes become so well known that all 6 guys at the table had swallowed it as a matter of course, even though the primates in question have clitorises, as do all female mammals? Onan, biblical reference, if you recall from page 77, was punished for wasting his seed. He was supposed not to cast it on the ground, but to put it somewhere, inside a woman. This is the waste not, want not for children argument. But unlike Onan, who can't inseminate anybody without orgasm, Onan's hypothetical woman, the woman he should have been inside, can conceive without having the big O, a fact recognized by Aristotle but forgotten for centuries. In 1559, Columbus discovered the clitoris. He sailed into it, like Ronaldus Columbus, that is. Again, the science is real. He sailed into it during one of his anatomical voyages, although Gabriella Fallopius disputed this, insisting that he had seen the hillock first. Permit me to draw an analogy between the 2 exploring Columbuses, Christopher and Ronaldus. Their disclosures less than 100 years apart, the former of a body of land, the latter of a body part, share a familiar hubris, one of hierarchical perspective. In the case of the New World, the viewer looking down is a European. In the clitoral case, the viewer looking down is a man. Both the people Both the peoples who had been living on New World soil for thousands of years, and I dare say most women, would have been stupefied by these discoveries. That said, the clitoris remains a Darwinian puzzle. If it's not needed for conception, why is it there? Is it adaptive or non-adaptive? The shriveled up little penis, non-adaptive view, has a long history. Gould and Lewontin argue that clits are like tits in men, an anatomical leftover. Others say no, the pleasure P serves an evolutionary purpose. The battles are bloody. But I ask you, what matters adaptation or size if the blessed little member does the job? Before we return to our story, I leave you with the immortal words of Jane Sharp, a 17th century Englishwoman and practicing midwife who wrote of the clitoris. It will stand and fall as a yard doth, and makes women lustful and take delight in copulation. Women, I contend, their simian sisters, and awaiting further research, probably other mammals too. Further sub-commentary. Doesn't the 17th century use of the measurement yard for penis strike you as a bit of an exaggeration? Unless the yard then was not the yard now? I end this little section with a limerick. When Columbus spied the Mount of Bliss, he stopped and asked himself, what is this? A button, a pea, an anomaly? No, silly man, it's a clitoris. Okay, cutting to the chase, this is a little thing about, and I don't think it's true in France, but in America and England, the book club is a big thing. And there's a little quote about men and women reading. This is Mia again. She is a loud mouth. The book club is big. It has been sprouting up like proverbial fungi all over the place, and it is a cultural form dominated almost entirely by women. In fact, reading fiction is often regarded as a womanly pursuit these days. Lots of women read fiction. Most men don't. Women read fiction written by women and by men. Most men don't. If a man opens a novel, he likes to have a masculine name on the cover. It's reassuring somehow. You never know what might happen to that external genitalia if you immerse yourself in imaginary doings concocted by someone with the goods on the inside. Moreover, men like to boast about their neglect of fiction. I don't read fiction, but my wife does. The contemporary literary imagination, it seems, emanates a distinctly feminine perfume. This is a reference to an earlier moment in the book. Recall Sabatini, we women have the gift of gab. But truth be told, we have been enthusiastic consumers of the novel since its birth in the late 17th century. And at that time, novel reading gave off an aroma of the clandestine. The delicate feminine mind, as you will remember from past rants inside this self-same book, could be easily dented by exposure to literature. The novel, especially with its stories of passion and betrayal, with its mad monks and libertines, its heaving bosoms and Mr. B's, its ravagers and ravagees. As a pastime for young ladies, reading novels was flushed pink for the risque, the logic. Reading is a private pursuit, one that often takes place behind closed doors. A young lady might retreat with a book, might even take it into her boudoir, and there, reclining on her silken sheets, imbibing the thrills and chills manufactured by writerly quills, one of her hands, one not absolutely needed to grip the little volume, might wander. The fear, in short, was one-handed reading. On Saturday at 5 in the afternoon, the Rolling Meadows Book Club met in the library over small sandwiches and even smaller glasses of wine to discuss the novelist Jane Austen, author of Persuasion, ironic observer, precise dissector of human feeling, stylist from heaven, and an author who did away with perverted monks but retained her own version of virtue rewarded. Both loved and detested, she has kept her critics hopping. Any library is a good library that does not contain a volume by Jane Austen, said America's literary darling Mark Twain, even if it contains no other book. Carlyle called her books dismal trash, but today too she is accused of narrowness and claustrophobia and dismissed as a writer for women. Life in the Provinces, unworthy of remark. Women's travails, of no import. It's okay when it's Flaubert, of course. Pity the idiots. Thank you.